Good morning. Miss Baldwin, can you see and hear me? Miss Baldwin, are you are you are? All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So today we're gonna do a meditation focus class, and it's gonna be focused around the cooling breath today. Now, the cooling breath versus any other yogic breath is just generally to get more moisture and more cooling out of the air itself into your body. The way it's actually practiced, you're gonna curl your tongue. I mean, if you can't curl your tongue, it's perfectly fine. All you do is make a kind of like a circle with your mouth. But curling your tongue is like that when you cause your tongue to fold over. Not everybody can do it, but for people that can, just doing that it's gonna make it easier to perform the cooling breath. It's because we're using our tongue as a channel to cool the air as it comes in. Now, when the air is cooling as it comes into the body, that's how we're getting more moisture and everything. Because one, our body has moisture on the tongue that's used to cool it. And then also, it's the air. I mean, in the air itself, there's moisture. So, generally, the way osmosis works, moisture attracts to the highest moisture, and that's how it moves. So, water goes from low concentration to high concentration all the time. So, since we're a higher concentration, whenever we're breathing in, we're taking in the moisture out of the air and diffusing it back into our body because the water wants to go to the highest concentration already. So whenever we're doing the breath practice and getting more into that, that's the way we're gonna be using the body to mechanically alter the breath flow. If that makes sense. And we're using the body to mechanically alter the breath flow so we can get a different sensation and different refreshment from the breath itself. Because with a breath, we're gonna not only be working on our muscle turnover, but how our muscle is feeling and how it's adapting. So starting now, we're gonna start off with the breath work like we normally would do, doing the 12 to 24 breaths. We're gonna do 24 breaths, pretty much 8 at each section. So starting at the belly and then cueing always to the belly, going up to the rib cage, cueing always to the rib cage and the belly, going to the upper chest, cueing always back to the upper chest, rib cage, and the belly. So starting, we're gonna place our hands on our belly. You're gonna clear the lungs. You're gonna take a deep breath in through the nostrils. You're gonna hold and slowly release. Take a deep breath in. Hold. Slowly release. Take a deep breath in. Hold. Slowly release. Going to the fourth breath in. Hold. Slowly release. As you get into the fifth breath, begin to allow your mind to travel with the air. Allow it to travel into your lungs as it fills. And feel the expansion between all three dimensions of your chest expanding, your back expanding a little bit, and your ribcage expanding out. Then we got the upper chest rising up with each in breath. Take a deep breath in. Going to the sixth breath, allow the air to travel. As it travels, allow it to guide your focus. Looking for any areas where you may be holding tension, where you may be holding discomfort. And through your breath, align yourself with that. So every inhale, you bring yourself towards that area. Whenever release, you feel it dissipate gently. We're using each breath to help relax the muscles just a little bit more, but also allow the lungs to take in more oxygen. If you need to, give yourself a gentle hug around the rib cage to feel into the mechanical movement of the breath at the rib cage. For every in breath, give your breath time to saturate before you release. So holding gently within each breath. You bring your hands to your upper chest or keeping them at your belly. You feel your chest rise and fall with each in breath and out breath. When you're ready, you're going to bring the left hand to the left knee. Right hand comes down to the middle of the lap. Both palms are facing up. With the left hand, you can bring the pinky and the thumb to meet each other for a gentle tap. With the right hand, palm is facing up. Whenever you're ready, you're going to curl your tongue and create the O shape with your mouth. And we're going to do all the breathing orally right now. So instead of taking the inhale through the nose, we're going to focus on taking the inhale through the mouth. And then also the exhale being through the mouth. With the tongue curled, you take a deep breath in. Hold. And slowly release. One more time, deep breath in. Hold. Slowly release. Now mechanically going with the cooling breath, there are breathing patterns that we practice and apply with it. In general, the breathing practice that's applied is a 1, 2, 4 rhythm. So it's one breath or one count for the breath in, 2 counts for hold. So it'd be like 1, 2. And then on the release, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, going to a full release of the breath. But when we do it, we're gonna do like 2 count inhale. So it'll be 1, 2 on your inhale. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the 8 count release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So again, it'll be a 2 breath inhale, 4 breath hold. 4 count hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 8 count release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when we do these next few breaths, we're going to do it for about 6 breaths first, take a break, see how everything's feeling, then go to about 12 breaths. When we do these next few breaths, we're going to be following that rhythm, that count, that pacing, to where it's a 2 count Inhale, a 4 count hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 8 count release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now again, what this is gonna do for the body is gonna help saturate the body, getting more oxygen into the lungs per capita. So we're gonna be getting more oxygen into the blood cells itself by doing this, and also getting more moisture into the body, which that moisture is gonna all go through the lungs itself. So at your pace, left hand on the left knee, right hand on your lap to your lungs. You can take a 2 count breath starting now. Hold. And slowly release for 8 counts. 2 breath in. We're gonna hold for 4. And release for 8. At your pace. Check into your body. Give yourself a moment to feel how is the air saturating in the lungs, how is that traveling through the body, how is that sitting into the muscles. With each breath, how does it feel? Do you feel your breath expanding, or do you feel your breath restricting? If you feel your breath restricting, remember, shoot yourself back into your belly, your rib cage, and your upper chest. We did about 6 breaths right there. How's everything feeling with that kind of pacing of the cooling breath? Is everything good with that right there? Alright, we're going to do that again for about 12 breaths. So we'll do this at your own pace. So let's say if you take a deep breath in on 1 count, you're going to hold for 2, and then release for 4. You take a deep breath in on a 2 count, you're going to hold for 4, then release for 8. And it follows that same pattern. So you take a deep breath in for a 3 count, you're going to hold for approximately 6, and then release for 12. So we're going to focus on the 2 second or 2 count breath in, hold for 4, and then release for 8. What I want you to get into the rhythm of is using things like your heartbeat, your pulse to help track your time, because you're using your internal senses to tell your body, to help control your body on how much oxygen it's holding and how is it processing this oxygen. So starting back over, right hand in the lap, left hand on the knee. I'm going to curl the tongue. Take a deep breath in through the mouth. Hold. Slowly release. Deep breath in through the mouth. Hold. Slowly release. At your own pace. Bring yourself back into your focus of your breath. Check it into the belly. As you take a deep breath in. With each breath, allow the lung space to gradually grow and expand. Whenever you're ready, return your breathing back to normal, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Taking a deep breath in, hold, and then slowly releasing. Take a deep breath in, hold for 2 counts, and release. Take a deep breath in, hold, slowly release. Take a deep breath in, hold, slowly release. Now going from the cooling breath, what we're going to move into is the nasal breathing. And what we're going to do, we're going to split the nasal channels real quick and do about 2 breaths per nostril. Now when we do this 2 breaths per nostril, we're going to be closing one nostril and inhaling and exhaling strictly through that nostril. So take a moment right now if you need to get some tissue or anything, just in case you have any snot boogers in your nose, you don't want to blow that on anything. So take a moment and get some tissue right now. So because we're gonna be like inhaling through each nostril, you're gonna be blowing your nose pretty much. So taking your hand with the napkin in it, you're gonna place your middle finger on the bridge of your nose, and you're gonna use your thumb to close your right nostril. I'm using my right hand, so I'm using my right thumb to close my right nostril, and I'll be either use my ring finger or my pinky to close my left nostril. But we start off on the left side, so we're gonna start off with your right nostril closed. So take your hand with the Kleenex in it, placing it at the bridge of your nose. You're gonna close your right nostril, and you're gonna immediately clear up all the air out of your left nostril. You're gonna strictly do a deep breath out of the left nostril, then into it immediately. So, by example, And then after my second in breath, what I'm going to do is alternate nostrils by closing my left and opening my right, and then exhaling through the right. And then you'll alternate and exhale through the left nostril. So what we're doing is we're clearing out the air out of the left nostril first, then inhaling, releasing, inhaling one more time. So we're doing 2 breaths through each nostril, and then you're switching over to the right nostril to exhale that air. We're gonna do this on each side 5 times, pretty much. So starting with the left side, you're gonna close the right nostril, placing the middle finger on the bridge of your nose, clear out all the air, and deep breath in. Release. Deep breath in. Alternate nostrils. So release on your right nostril now. Left nostril is closed. Deep breath in. Release. Deep breath in. Alternate. Right closes, left opens, and release. Deep breath in. Release. Deep breath in. Alternate. Release. Deep breath in. Release. Deep breath in. Alternate and release. Deep breath in. Release. Deep breath in. Alternate and release. Deep breath in. Release. Deep breath in. Open up the left nostril, leave the right nostril open, and release from both nostrils. Wipe your nose if you need to. Notice the morning, you might have some snot, some boogers, some guster. So the idea of what we're doing is to literally clean out the nasal cavity. And the other part of what we're doing is going to actually invigorate each half of the body differently. Because we're breathing through one nostril, it gets air into one half of the body a little bit differently than it would for the other half. And whenever the air travels in our body, it kind of spirals down our back into our lower back and then goes back up. That's the energetic cycle of the Kundalini breath in the body. It spirals down the spine, hits the base, then goes back up. So it goes from the root all the way up into the crown. A good depiction of it is if you see the medical symbol with the 2 snakes that cross from the base of the cross going up and wrapping around it. That's the same description of how the Kundalini energy travels from our base and our spine up the body. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because throughout the yogic breath and the yogic practice, we're always stimulating that Kundalini energy from our core, from our chest, going to the top of our skull, and that's pretty much charging or in-charging the body. So for a moment, we can either alternate between the normal breathing pattern or the cooling breath breathing pattern, but we're going to do about 12 to 24 breaths again at your pace. So getting your body ready, checking into your, checking into your nostrils, to your mouth, seeing how the airflow is going, making sure there aren't any interruptions, making sure there's not any blockages that you're feeling in your nasal cavity, and allowing for that air to travel into the body and travel to the body to identify any blockages or tension that you may be feeling that can be alleviated through how your breath is working. So as we do this breath practice, remember to try to keep your hips aligned under your shoulders or your shoulders lined over your hips. And whenever you're doing your breathing practice, keep the belly soft with each breath. Now your belly is going to move, so the abdomen is going to be active, but keeping it soft and keeping your mind to keep the belly soft is a big cue to lower the tension that you will feel across the belt of the belly into the lower back. Because there's no point in holding tension in the area if it's not being actively used. It's being used through the breath, but not actively used, as in we're not activating the abdomen itself at the moment. So we're going for about 12 to 24 breaths. I'm going to cue in at 12. Take a deep breath in, and slowly release. Take a deep breath in, slowly release. Deep breath in, slowly release. Remember, if you would like to alternate between cooling breath and normal breath, you can do it at every 4, every 6, or every 8 breaths. If you're going for 24 breaths, I would suggest doing it every 8 breaths. If you're going for 12, every 4. With each in breath going through the nostril or through the mouth with the cooling method. Feel how the air enters the nostrils. Feel how it travels down the nasal cavity into the lungs. Feel how the air saturates your body as it sits into the lungs. Deep breath in. Halfway release the breath. And then take a full breath in, following. Halfway release the breath. Full breath in. And then fully clear the lungs. Actively take a deep breath in. Actively clear the lungs. Active breath in. Actively clear the lungs. With active breath, you should have some type of sound from the inhale and from the release. From the inhale, you should feel some of the air traveling into the nasal cavity, through the sinus cavity. And as you feel a sound, it should feel like a low rumble, kind of like how Darth Vader sounds when he's breathing. That is a cue for your body actually inhaling the most oxygen that it can. And you can hear a sound from your breath. That is a sign of your body actively breathing. Now, this sound versus the sound from snoring. Whenever you're snoring, you have things blocking the nasal cavity, blocking the nasal passageway. Whenever you're doing this breath, you're sending air so far and fast through the nasal passageway. You're getting like a hum or kind of like a whispering whistle. It should sound like Darth Vader breath, so it's gonna be like more like a hum, or like your your sinus cavity being cleared because that air is flowing through it. And then on the release, it's just the sound of the air exiting the body. So feeling the physical signs, physical cues I feel as I take the full breath in through the nose and feeling the air roll through the sinus cavity is I can feel a slight rumble, tremble as the air goes in. Because it's taking a very deep breath. It's just like as if we're blowing our nose. We're activating that same area to just take an inhale and bring everything down the throat into the windpipe. Now the sound and the name for this sound is called Ujjayi breathing. every breath you do in your practice, you want to take the same breath. You want to cue the same breath mechanic. Now, for the next few weeks, we are going to be really intensively focusing on the breath. And the reason for that is so when we get into the physical practice, we understand how the breath is actually being actively activated into the body to help deepen or get into a more comfort of a positioning. When I say deepen, that'd be for like deepening a stretch or getting the muscles more activated and staying activated through a certain posture. Be it, say, if we sat in plank, you felt like your body was running out of stamina, your breath is going to help your muscular turnover. It's going to help your muscles go through the process of it pumping, and it's going to help the process of myosin acting and working to release the different ATP and ADP bonds in the body. So it is going to produce the lactic acid, but it's also going to help the body recycle that lactic acid and rotate it back into the muscle. Your muscular turnover is going to be affected by how much air you can get into your body, how your body can saturate that oxygen into the lungs, and then as you release, how that air travels into the bloodstream, into that focus areas. So we not only use the breath to lengthen muscles, but to allow them to expand, allow them to grow, allow them to reach the maximum length or maximum contraction length as well. Now that's only approximately like 5 millimeters, or it can be seen as a micrometer C, 5 micro or millimeters. And it's not that much, but through the breath does all that action. So focusing on your breath, taking a deep breath in, hand can be on the belly, rib cage, upper chest, whichever is most comfortable for you. Within these breaths, try to take a deeper breath with each consecutive breath. Not a faster breath, but a deeper breath. So even if it goes to being a longer inhale, allow it to be so your body can saturate the oxygen a bit more. Deep breath in. Slow release. At your pace, deep breath in. Consecutively, allow each breath to lengthen. And give yourself about 6 breaths, so you should be on your third, going to your fourth. When you get to your 6th breath, you should be at the maximum length of the inhale. Allow your body to gently relax. We're about to get into the Wim Hof breathing method, which was a 30 breath count that we did, where it was actively breathing for 30 breaths. And then taking a deep breath in, holding, and releasing. So we're going to do this for about 3 cycles. So it'll be 30 active breaths. Active breath being, we're going to do that about 30 times. And then on the last 30th breath, we're going to breathe in, hold, and release. But you're going to breathe in and hold at your pace. You're going to hold up to the point where you feel like your body needs to release. You're going to slowly control the release. So it's not going to be like an immediate. Each breath leading up into that 30th breath can be like that, where. But the last breath needs to be hold till you get to the point where you need to release, and then release. Bring out your lungs completely. Then going into the next 30 breath cycle. We're gonna do this 3 times. So when you get to the last 30 breath cycle and release, you're just gonna go back to breathing normally. And I'm gonna let you know. So whenever you're ready, you're gonna take a deep breath in, actively breathing for 30 breaths. So release, and then inhale, 30. Hold. You're holding your breath for your pace. So whenever you feel like you need to release, slow the release. After you finish your release, you're going to immediately go back to another 30 breath cycles actively. So going back. On your in breath, remember to begin your 30 breaths of active breathing. Fast inhale, making a hold, and after you release, you're just going to go back to a normal breathing cycle. Allow the air to travel into the lungs gently and release gently. After the 3 times 30 breath active breathing, you should feel a reinvigoration. You feel a little bit of lightheadedness, that's fine.
Yeah, I feel lightheaded.
You feel a little bit light? Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Go back to your normal breathing technique. So when we're doing the active breathing, what it's doing, we're getting more oxygen into the body, just not saturating it as fast. With the cooling breath versus this, we're doing the complete opposites. You follow me on that? So we're doing this pace at a slower pace. You did hear my pace speed up a little bit because I'm personally used to doing it faster, and that's because I'm more so just advanced practicing this breath style. But be cautious, go slow, go paced with it. And the reason why is because we're getting oxygen into the body faster, but it's not saturating. And when I say it's not saturating, that just means it's traveling and it's going out. By doing that, what the oxygen's doing is it's sending a negative current electrons into the body. So that lightheaded feeling, this is actually from the traveling of the electrons entering the body really fast and leaving out actively. That's why it's an active breathing technique. Now versus the cooling breath we did earlier, that's more of a saturation, getting more oxygen into the blood per capita. So like with this technique, we're not getting as much oxygen into the blood, but we're getting oxygen there fast to activate the muscles. So this is a technique that can be used following things like body tapping or going to certain posture holds, and we will get into that later on. And it's an active breathing to activate the body. So that feeling of lightheadedness, going to the normal breath right afterwards to saturate the breath, or going to the cooling breath, taking the breath in, the hold will help your body get that oxygen that it's kind of missing from actively pumping and pushing out. Now, whenever we do this, we are doing a full breath still. So we're going to the belly with each in breath and out from the belly. But it seems like we're just breathing at the upper chest because it's kind of like when you're breathing after you get through running or doing something extreme where you're breathing really fast, panting. So it's very, very similar to that. So what this actually helps is controlling that breath. So whenever your body feels like it's catching its breath, it knows how to better control and catch its breath. The thing is,
Okay.
the more we practice with the faster breathing techniques and paces, it teaches our body how to inhale faster, hold more oxygen, and then saturate that faster into the body. So the fire breathing, which we just did, and then Wim Hof or Wim Hof breathing technique is the use of that, and it's called Kundalini breathing also. It uses a invigorating technique where you're bringing more oxygen into the body faster and hoping it can saturate faster, but it has to saturate faster by your body used to saturating the oxygen. But we're not holding it, so it's not getting the time to properly just saturate.
Okay.
Um, Very similar way of explaining this would be like we have Kool-Aid and the powder. You pour the powder into the water and stir it fast versus pouring the powder into the water and letting it sit. So if we let it sit, we know it's all gonna slowly fall to the bottom and dilute into the water naturally. So that's the cooling method. Whenever we take the spoon and stir it really fast, that's the active breathing method because
Uh-huh.
we're actively adding our energy into the breathing method. So it's using our electricity with the electricity that we're generating. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So that's gonna help further explain things when we go further to the practice. Like on Friday, if we do a plank and I say active breathing, so we'll be holding the plank. You may be active breathing for 12 breaths, and then immediately after we finish that active breathing in a plank, child's pose onto a rest pose, so the body can rest, and then that lighthead feelingness that may get generated from that can dissipate faster. Now, when we're in a pose, we wouldn't be doing a crazy amount of active breathing, because this is going to be more so on the beginner level. But we will be doing some active breathing, and it may be in a pace format where it's like 6 active breaths, 6 normal breaths, 6 active breaths, 6 normal
Okay.
breaths, and that'll be to get the heart rate up. Because the other part of yoga is about activating the body, but it's about understanding how to activate the body. Because you can stand still and activate your body and get your muscles and blood pumping just from using your heart and your lungs. You follow me on that? And that's going to saturate into peripheral nervous system, which is the arms and legs. So if you get the core properly activated, it's going to activate the arms and legs because everything feeds from the core and everything feeds back to the core.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So for today, we're gonna kind of end a little bit early. Is that fine with everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then with these breathing practices, you can practice them throughout your day anytime. So I like to give people reminders to check into themselves. So I want to give you a 5 minute reminder. You're gonna need 5 minutes throughout your day, throughout the week. Check into yourself for 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be for 5 whole minutes. It could be 30 seconds here. It could be 1 minute here. It could be 2 minutes here. It could be the whole 5 minutes. But just check into yourself. Every day, give yourself time to check in. And it can start off with 1 minute here, another minute here. It can happen whenever you're feeling like, oh, I'm losing my cool or I'm getting frustrated, irritated with something. Check in. Check in through your breath so you can then maintain and attain or reassess how you can attain control. Because every situation we experience has our reaction already embedded into it. But it's how we choose to react, how we choose to interpret and ingest a situation. And the easiest way for us to control that reflex is through our breath. Because when we react hastily, we're breathing hastily. When we
Right.
react calmly, we're breathing calmly. So we're practicing to apply, not just practicing to keep here. We're practicing to constantly apply this through everyday activity.
Right.
So you start off by checking in for 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes becomes 20 minutes. And that 20 minutes becomes an hour. You find yourself actively checking in while you're doing something through that hour. So on Friday, whenever we get into the body postures and the movement asana or the movements into asanas and postures, we're going to be going through the check-in process. So checking in on your body, seeing if you feel these cues. Do you feel tension in this area going up? Do you feel tension going down? If it's not moving, how does it feel? Is it stagnant? Does it have a color associated? So we're gonna start checking in more in depth with the body and giving more types of cues to go with it. And whenever I speak of pain in this sense, pain is just a feeling. So that feeling can either lead to joy or, we know as pain. When I say joy, it can be the same sensation as tickling because the same touch that gives someone a tickle can give someone a pain, and it all just depends on that person's sensitivity. So we're gonna be going more into the body sensitivity, going into more how your body is feeling in contact with the airspace around you, how you're contacting the airspace, how you're moving through that space. And that's going to be going into some of the movement practice and how we're using our body in the space around us, and then checking into our body as we're using our body. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool, cool. So again, today was again a focus onto the breath, because the breath is the most important part of this practice. Without the breath, we wouldn't have none of this, because we wouldn't be able to check into the body without the breath. We wouldn't be able to hold the breath to get more oxygen into the muscles. We wouldn't really activate the muscles without the breath. So the breath is the most important part of this. The breath is the fuel for the fire.
Okay.
The breath is the temperature. The air is the temperature that cools the water. The breath is the heat, transfers the heat to the fire. We're convecting cool and heat. So we're doing that already through our body. Now we're actively learning how to gain control of it. Now, 5-minute check-in, 1 minute of active breathing, one breath for each second, one breath for every 2 seconds, one breath for every 3 seconds. One breath for each second is a second per breath. So it's 60 breaths. One breath for every 2 seconds will be 30 breaths, but you're taking 2 seconds for each breath. For every 3 seconds, 20 breaths. So it's a practice on how your body gets used to ingesting and holding that oxygen. We're going to go more into this on Friday. Cooling breath, fire breath, and using some poses within those. Poses for cooling breath will always be on the relaxation side. Poses for fire breath may be things like sitting in the plank. Your body may trigger into the fire breath naturally being into the plank. But we're going to get in there, we're going to learn how to control that, and we're going to go through the pace. So for right now, I would like to say namaste and thank you. Return yourself back into the world and be ready to interact with the environment with the new information that you can apply through your breath.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day. Sorry for ending early today, but Friday everything's gonna be good. We're gonna try to go into the sun salutation. We'll go through the breath practices. We're gonna cue back into what we did today in movement on Friday.
Okay.
Cool. All right. I hope everyone has a great day. Remember, check into yourself. On Friday, I'm going to ask about the check-ins if you haven't checked in, because that's your homework for the week with yoga, is to check into yourself and see how it feels to actively begin to check into your body.
Okay.
Hope you have a great day. For those on Twitch that checked in, I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all being in there. Whoever it was, my two peeps. The two peeps that was in there. Yeah, appreciate it. Facebook, if y'all peeped in, cool. Appreciate it. I'm probably about to end this for now. So let me find someone to rate on Twitch, and then make this happen. Let's see who's on for just chatting right now. Monday morning. I think Jamie's in, so we're gonna go over to her channel.
from the inside.
Let's go, Jamie.